All right, we will go ahead and get started. So Dr. Brannon and Mr. Black were unable to join us for the Q&A today, but I will try to field as many of the questions that I can. And so we'll go ahead and get started. So first question is, how could one go about getting dual credit approval for an ICEV course? Well, first of all, as you look at that, ICEV is simply the materials or the instructional materials to help build that course. But the building blocks are all there for an instructor or a professor to go about making a college level course utilizing those materials. So really the first step, as Dr. Brandon kind of mentioned, would be finding that stakeholder university or college that would be interested in tackling that project with you. And as you could see from one of his very first slides where he showed the enrollment of the college since they started the dual credit program, it's been very, very beneficial for the college to promote the college's offerings to students at a young age. So I think the first step would be to look at all the different CTE programs, find a higher education partner that would be willing to champion this with you and just start the conversation. So that would be the advice for getting started on a dual credit approval. The next question, well, it's more of a statement. Wish a college in Arizona would adopt this. If there is a college that you work closely with, please reference us to a professor or an instructor there, and we can help you start that conversation. Again, one of the biggest challenges with starting dual credit programs is the time to build those online courses and the resources to build those online courses. And that's what ICEV brings to the table. We work with hundreds of universities, two-year colleges, programs like that, in utilizing our materials in their classes. And so with the online nature of our program, how we connect with learning management systems, and then the fact that we work with both colleges as well as secondary schools, we can really help aid in getting that developed. So if you have someone in Arizona that you'd be interested in working with and they see a win-win, please introduce us and we can help further that conversation. Okay, and I hear that Dr. Brannon just joined us. Dr. Brannon, are you there?
Yes.
All right, thank you for joining us. So we were just going through and answering a few questions. So one of the questions that came up is, what are some of the challenges in starting a dual credit program?
Well, first of all, like almost anything worth doing, there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of hurdles, and I would say in some cases some barriers. And those are both inherent with higher education as well as secondary education. So commitment is the number one obstacle to overcome those challenges. Where there's a will, there's a way. I think some of the challenges are, from the higher education standpoint, at least convincing the administration that this is a relevant and a important, not only educational initiative, but an economic development initiative. It's a glass half full, glass half empty thing. While some might see it as giving away tuition or giving really cheap tuition that might affect you down the road, others might see it as an opportunity to bring more people into higher education that had not thought about it. So that is one of the challenges at the higher education level, and I certainly support that opportunity to bring more in it, and the opportunity to provide a service. From the secondary level, I think it's all having a champion in each of the academic areas that are going to drive it and provide those opportunities for their students. And many times that's done without a lot of resources. AP several years ago may have gotten a lot of credit, and I think probably the instructors may have gotten some additional resources or stipends or whatever. Many times, as I've found it, the teachers are taking it kind of out of their own hide to provide these dual credit opportunities for for their students.
All right, very good. So one question, what subject areas on ICEV fit dual credit program areas? And I can go ahead and take a stab at answering that. Really, it's all of our subject areas. So we do everything from agriculture science to where, as Dr. Brandon and Mr. Black mentioned in the workshop, animal science, pre-vet, plant science, natural resources. So we do all of ag science, but then we also have several different subject areas in business and marketing, family and consumer sciences, health sciences, construction, manufacturing, transportation. So we really kind of fit all of those areas, and the way ICED works is it's very customizable to fit, both the higher ed as well as the secondary model. So, really all of our different subject areas would fit that. Another thing to take a look at, as Dr. Brandon and Mr. Black mentioned in the workshop, those areas where we offer industry certifications. That's an area that we see that looks at, works well with a lot of higher education programs. So any of those areas with industry certifications fits as well. So one question, and Dr. Brandon, I'm going to throw this to you. It says, how long does it take to put together a dual credit course? But let's think more along a program. So what does that look like from start to finish, from the time you had the idea of the Racer Academy to where it's implemented and you've got folks rolling? What does that look like from a timeline?
Well, it's a journey, not a destination, that's for sure, because it continually changes. I think you start it one course at a time, and then you look at it with the end in mind. I always believe in that, and what's the appropriate program. And we made a few mistakes along the line in doing that. We seem to, every time somebody made a suggestion to us, have you thought about this course? We get to work on putting it together. And we didn't outgrow the situation, but we probably had a few too many offerings. So this past year, with the guidance of our university, we actually did some gleaning back, some pulling back, and started. I actually kind of was able to lead the effort. Pathways, where we had each specific area of the secondary schools can choose a pathway, and they choose offerings that are specific to that pathway. We are very fortunate in ag to include 5 classes that we're going to offer as our stable of Racer Academy classes that we're going to offer. We were offering 7, 8. One of them was a 2-hour. I think we was offering 8. So we're going back to 5, but those 5 are they're all certification driven. You can take 2 classes in Kentucky and be career certified, I forget the buzzword term that they're using now, but if you take 2 in one certain area. So we kind of provided 2 classes in each option. In other options in business, they got a couple of business classes, English 105, some general classes that are going towards certification. So it's a process. It's kind of build it on the ground and stand it up. It needs the support of the secondary level, working with the higher education, but resources such as ICEV were very beneficial to us, because when we first started it, we started with an animal science class, and I had a graduate student, and I said, go see what kind of resources that you can find and put together a course. And she brings me in a notebook of material that was like a 6-inch notebook of lesson plans and everything. And that's how we started. But then we got into it. We found that ICEV already had some of those courses put together and was able to put a lot of snippets together to make some modules that we were able to put those classes. So 3 of our classes are ICEV driven. 3 of them are courses that we put together ourselves. And they're very similar, but I just say, why reinvent the wheel when you can just smooth out some of the bumps?
All right, very good. Well, I think that does it for our time for question and answer. Dr. Brannon, thanks for joining us. We did put in the chat the very important part, which is the code for this session. So remember to go put in the code. The code is DUAL, D-U-A-L 006. So that is DUAL, D-U-A-L 006. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks Dr. Brannon for joining us, and thank you for the great workshop.